personal services income regime is set out in Part 2-42 of the ITAA 1997. The rules apply where an individual is earning personal services income using a personal services entity, but neither the individual nor the PSE is conducting a personal services business. Ralph is a qualified physiotherapist and consultant to the Australian Soccer Association through his company RT Proprietary Limited. For the current financial year ended, RT Proprietary Limited received fee income from the association as its only income and paid a number of operating expenses, including a salary to Ralph. Ralph is regarded as an independent contractor at the association and has a fully furnished office and a fully equipped surgery supplied by the association, which he bases himself from. The association expects Ralph to work 3 days per week at these premises. RT Proprietary Limited charges an hourly rate of $50 for Ralph's services, and the association assumes all responsibility for Ralph's work. Does the personal services income regime apply to this example? The first step requires determining whether the income is personal services income. PSI is income gained mainly as a reward for the personal efforts or skills of an individual. Income that is gained by an entity such as a company, trust or partnership for the personal efforts or skills of an individual will also be PSI. However, income is not PSI if it is mainly for the supply or sale of goods, for granting a right to use property, or generated by an income-producing asset. The PSI rules will only apply where an individual is earning PSI via a personal services entity, PSE, where neither the individual nor the PSE is conducting a personal services business. So in Ralph's case, the income is predominantly a reward for Ralph's services and does not fall under any of the exclusions, so it would qualify as PSI. Once we've established that the income is personal services income, the second step is to determine whether the individual is conducting a personal services business. An individual or PSE conducts a personal services business if there is a personal services business determination from the Commissioner of Taxation, or the results test is satisfied, or if less than 80% of the PSI is derived from a single source and one of the other 3 tests are satisfied. The Commissioner of Taxation is only likely to grant a determination where unusual circumstances prevented the individual or PSE passing one or more of the 4 personal service business tests in the current tax year. If an individual or a PSE does not have a personal services business determination in force, it must satisfy at least one of the 4 tests to self-assess that it is conducting a PSB in accordance with Section 87-15. In our example, the case facts do not tell us that Ralph has a personal services business determination in force. So at this stage, the income still qualifies as PSI. So we need to determine whether any one of the 4 tests are satisfied. RT Proprietary Limited receives 100% of its income from the association. So only the results test can be used to self-assess whether it is conducting a PSB. Remembering that the other 3 tests can only be used if less than 80% of the income is from one source. To satisfy the results test, the individual must satisfy 3 conditions in relation to at least 75% of the PSI during the year. These include that the income is for producing a result. The individual is required to supply the plant and equipment or tools of trade needed to perform the work that produces the result. And the individual is liable for the cost of rectifying any defects in the work performed. While it is evident from the facts that Ralph produces a result and may provide some of his own equipment, the association provides the office and surgery that Ralph works from and assumes all liability for the work. As such, all 3 criteria are not satisfied and the results test is not satisfied. Accordingly, the PSI regime applies to Ralph and RT Proprietary Limited, and the company has to attribute all the fee revenue received to Ralph, who will be assessed on the amount attributed in accordance with Section 86-1.